Welcome to the F1 in Schools project tutorial. My name is Phil Dolan. In this lesson we're going to be modelling the rear wing, also modelling the front wing, adding a wing support onto the body, also a small wing support onto the rear wing, split the body to support the nose cone, and then edit the wing shapes. This is the car body we've been working on. And what we want to do is add the rear wing and the front wing. I'm going to start by turning on the visibility of the work plane we created earlier, and then create a sketch on that work plane. I'm going to be placing a freeform body in this area, so I need the work plane and a point which will be the center of that freeform body. I've placed the point, and I want to place a vertical constraint to center it on that bottom edge. I'm now going to add a dimension. That dimension will be from the point to the bottom edge, and it's going to be a dimension of 51. So with the point created, I can now finish the sketch. Then I'm going to go out and add in the body. And that's a box. Select the plane and the work point as the center of that box. Previously we created a plane which had 2 inputs. Obviously this one has 3. A length of 18. The width is going to be 3.5, and then a height. And the height in this case is going to be 60. I'm going to increase the number of faces just on that one, easier to modify. And we'll notice that we need to have the direction in both directions. I also want to add height symmetry. You'll see that line added to the box right there. Everything looks good, so I can click OK. I'm going to finish the freeform. Back out to the home view. And what's happened here is we now have 2 solid bodies. Solid 1 was the original car body we started with, and now the wing has been added. This is going to be very useful as we combine or subtract parts from each other. I'm going to turn off the sketch that we used to create the rear wing. And let's look at that left view. I'm going to create another box which will become the front wing. Same procedure, I need to select an area, in this case the work plane, about level with that axle hole will be good, and somewhere in the middle. Let's go to the home view so we can see that a little bit better. And fill in all the values. For length, we're going to go with 20. For width, we're going to go with 3. And for height, we're going to go with 65. Again, increase the number of faces, both directions, and add on height symmetry. And check that it looks okay, and it does. Okay there. So we've created both wings now. Now this wing is flat. So what I want to do is I actually want to change that a little bit, give it some sort of incline. I'm going to double click on that. That selects the whole wing. I can now edit the form, and I'm going to rotate that. So I'll select that manipulator. I can go either counterclockwise, which in this case would be the wrong direction, and down. Drag it just a little bit more. And let's rotate it through 30 degrees. We can always come back and change those values if it's not working. Finish the freeform and turn off that visibility of that work plane. So we have the 2 wings created, but if we look a little more closely, the rear wing is just kind of hanging in space there. So now we need to create the supports. To start creating the support of the rear wing, we're going to be creating 2 things, 2 small extrusions, and then we're going to be using the combine tool to add and subtract them to the car body and the wing. So we'll start by creating a work plane. We need this to create a sketch. I'm going to use the plane. If you don't know which one it is, just cycle through them as I'm doing, and then click on that top surface, that rounded surface. That gives us the work plane tangential to that. Create a sketch, and then zoom and pan into the area that we want to work in. I'm going to turn off the visibility of that work plane. That's, in my case, work plane 2. And now create the rectangle. It's actually a square. It's 8 millimeters by 8. So 8, tab for 8, enter, and OK. Now it's not centered or dimensioned, so we need to come in here and center that using a horizontal constraint and a vertical constraint. Now it might seem the other way around here. That's because of the way the coordinate system is set up and the way I rotated the part. So what seemed vertical was not. In this case, I want to create an asymmetric. So asymmetric allows us to put two different values in for the extrusion. First value, which is upwards, is going to be 5. And the second value, which is downwards, as shown by the arrow, is going to be 3. I want this to be a new solid. With all those things in place, click OK. So that's the first of the supports. Now what I need to do is add another support and also create a hole in the rear wing. Let's focus on the rear wing and what needs to be done in that area. So I'm going to turn on the visibility of form 2. In my case it's number 2, which is the rear wing. I'm going to combine the rear wing and that little extrusion we just created. So the wing will be the base and the small part the extrusion will be the tool body. Difficult to see, so you can actually select these in the browser, and very often that's where I do that. So it happens to be solid 4 in my case. I want to keep the tool body and I want to subtract it, cut it from the rear wing. Click on OK. Let's see the end result of that. So what happens is the second one, the tool body, the visibility is temporarily turned off, and you see that worked. There's that small rectangular cutout in the wing. Turn the visibility back on, and you can see that extrusion is still there. What I want to do is hide all the others. I want to work on that little extrusion. I'm going to effectively put a little collar around it, which will eventually be tied onto the rear wing. So I'm using this extrusion to help me build that. That's solid 4, work plane, drag it down, distance of -1.5. And that work plane is going to be the basis for the sketch. So I'll create that sketch. Just press the function 5 key. It's trying to zoom out to the whole car, not that tiny little piece, but pressing the F5 key brings it back immediately. Project the geometry of the top square. And then there's using that little tool, the offset, 1 millimeter, quite handy. E on the keyboard to extrude. It defaults to upwards. I want to drag it downwards. I want it to be below. And it's going to be a distance of 1.5 millimeters. Also a new solid. I don't need that work plane anymore. I can turn off the visibility. The next thing we want to do then is look at what we want to combine. So I'm going to turn on solid 2, which is the rear wing, and I want to combine that new collar, that little extrusion I just created. I want to join it to the wing. So I want to combine the wing and that second extrusion I created. The wing is going to be the base. Again, I can go back and forward between the browser and the graphics window. Select that. Can't see the other one very well, but I know it's solid 5. Do I want to keep the tool body in this case? No, I want to join them together. So I can just click OK. So now that second extrusion is joined to the wing. Let me show that to you. Turned off that first extrusion, and you can see that's just by itself now. So click on Show All, and that's our design coming along quite nicely. So let's review what we did. We did quite a few things in terms of combining. So what we did was we created a small extrusion with a collar. The small collar is now combined with the wing. And the second extrusion, the first extrusion we created, has created a hole in the rear wing. There's a bit of a problem though. When we machine that car, we need an edge for a fillet, a 3 millimeter fillet. We don't have one. So what I'm going to do is going to combine the car body and the extrusion. I'm not going to keep the tool body. I want them to be joined together. Now you can see there's an edge to fillet. In that case it would be 3 millimeters. I'm going to add the fillets later, but you always want to think ahead as to your design. And save that work. So the next step in this lesson is to create the nose cone. I'm going to create a work plane. I'm going to offset that work plane from the front -35 millimeters. Now you'll want to check that the wing you created, that front wing, doesn't interfere with the work plane. If it does, right click, edit freeform. Double click on the wing, that selects the whole wing. Edit that form. Let's go to that view so we can see it a little more clearly. You just drag it forward. So just do a little double check on that. I don't need to, mine is fine. But if you do run into any conflict between that work plane and that wing, that's how to solve it. What I'm going to do is split that. So I'm going to split the solid. The split tool will be the work plane, and the solid or the body is actually the car body. Click on OK. If I scroll down in the browser now, you'll see that there's a split being added to the browser. That's the larger part of the car body and that new nose cone. Let's turn off the visibility of a couple of things. That's the front nose cone and the wing. Now the nose cone and the body have to be connected together somehow, so I'm going to create a small rectangular extrusion to do that. On that work plane I created a sketch and a rectangle. And this rectangle is going to be 10 millimeters by 4. Tab over, enter the 4. We've done this a few times now. Press enter and then right click OK. I need to locate that rectangle. I'm going to start with the dimension. I'm just basing on where I located it. I would think probably 13 millimeters would be good. And I need to center it. So I'm going to use a vertical constraint between the bottom edge, and then that guide slot helps. So it's now centered on the body of the car. E for extrude, and we'll make that 10 millimeters. So now we have the first part on the major part of the car body. I need a slot effectively on the nose cone. So how are we going to do that? We're going to use that combine technique again. So in this case, let's turn on the visibility of the nose cone. Go to combine. I need to select the base. So the base in this particular case will be the nose cone, which is solid 6, and I'm using the browser for selection. Again, the graphics window could be used. And I want to keep the tool body and cut and click OK. Again, that tool body is invisible. We'll turn the visibility back on in a moment, but while it's invisible, let's have a look at what happened. What we'd hoped for is that now there's a little notch where that original extrusion was created. Show all, and our design is moving along. Save our file. We're not going to change the front and rear wing. We're going to edit those. So click, select Edit Freeform. Just click on that face, Edit Form. I'm holding down the Alt key because I want to add material. And just pulling that out, and because of the symmetry, you can see it's happening on the other side as well. So -3 in this case. Don't need to click OK. I can keep going here. So double click on that edge, pull that forward, and we're going to change that by 4 millimeters. Now I can click OK. Finish the freeform. And let's go have a look at the rear wing. Same workflow. Just click on the rear wing. Edit. Now the changes that I want to make in this particular case require me to add some more symmetry. So click on Symmetry. Select something on the top face, that one face, and then select the equivalent one on the bottom. And as soon as I do that, you can see that second line of symmetry has been added. Click OK. I also want to subdivide some faces, which gives us more control over the changes or the modifications we're going to make. So you can see top and bottom because of the line of symmetry, and I'll do that leading edge as well. So you can see all those subdivided faces. So taking advantage of that, I'm going to double click on one of the edges that was created, which selects the whole edge and the one on the other side because of symmetry. Edit the form, and you can see the effect of that now. So enter a distance of 5 millimeters. And I want to make the edges of the wing a bit thinner. So I select two faces, holding down the Shift key for the second face, drag it downwards. So my input is going to be a negative 0.8. And click OK. Let's go to Finish Freeform. And this lesson we created quite a lot. You can see all the changes we've made, added the wings, added some supports. Design's moving along. Save the file. So in this lesson we modeled the rear wing, modeled the front wing, added a wing support on the body and the rear wing, and we used the Combine tool quite a bit to do that. Then we split the body to support a nose cone and concluded by editing the wing shapes.